Good morning. It is my day off and I thought that it would be good to just show you how I decompress from from my work. I typically see clients Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, but they're usually pretty, heavy days when it comes to seeing clients. And then Fridays I do more of a admin, go to a coffee shop, and then in the middle, Wednesdays, I take a day off. It's just how I've been able to balance everything, but my day off is really sacred. I love being able to just relax and chill. But something that came up this week is over the weekend, I went too hard on spring cleaning and my calf muscle on my left leg just felt strained. It would hurt just to stand up and walk on it. So I'm trying my best not to be up a lot. I do have an appointment today. I have a therapy appointment, but for the most part, I'll probably just be laying down. I mean, that's what I have to do in order to recover. And at first I was so upset because I thrive in routine and my biggest goal is to incorporate movement, and I do have a weight loss goal as well, and so I just wanted to feel like I had a sense of control over it, and movement is one of those things that makes me feel like I have a sense of control over my outcomes, even though sometimes naturally just outcomes don't go as planned. But that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how do we let go of control, especially on the things that we can't control. And I thought this was so fitting because I'm in a position where I cannot exercise, or I'm choosing not to because I want to rest and recover, because I know if I push myself too hard I will injure myself and then my goals will be non-existent or not being able to be achieved. Someone asked on one of my other videos about just tips of things when you're feeling really anxious and stressed. I feel very anxious and stressed. I felt very anxious about filming this video because I don't typically do vlogs. I like doing sit down videos, but I know this is something that people like. I love consuming vlogs, so I'm trying to get myself out of my comfort zone a little bit more. And it is my day off, so it's one of those things. I wouldn't typically film on my day off, trust me, but I really wanted this to be authentic as far as this is what I do to rest. This is what I do to cope with the anxiety that I have about not being able to do the things that I want to do. And so one of the tips that I typically not only give my clients but myself when it comes to not knowing what to control is to practice mindfulness. And it's always hard for me. There's several ways to practice mindfulness. You could meditate, you could do yoga, you could go for a walk, anything that brings you back to the present. You can journal. For me, that is my mindfulness activity of choice, to journal. And as you saw earlier on, I still want to stick to that. If there is something out of my routine that I cannot do, I try to minimize my routine. And so today, I just had water, took my vitamins, and did my journal. And I am gonna go to a coffee shop and get some coffee and a little treat. And a way, it's something that I could, look forward to. I do this before my therapy sessions. I always like to get myself a iced coffee and just sit in the coffee shop. When you're anxious, your mind is often focused on the past or the future, what you can't do. And I think it's important that we focus on things in our now. One of the most important things for me to in the morning to practice mindfulness, especially on the things that I can't control, is to not give other people my attention first thing in the morning. This starts the day before my day off. I will delete my social media, my social media apps, so Instagram and TikTok. I will delete those apps so that I don't be tempted to open them up. Sometimes I will be tempted, but honestly I try to wait up until the afternoon. If I do feel the urge of getting in, that anxiety urge of I'm missing out on something, then I will do it, but I'll try to put a timer on so that I don't feel like I'm spending way too much time on it. But I do not have it in the morning. I often don't even get my phone in the morning. I keep it on a corner somewhere and just have it charged until I've done like my morning routine, until I focused on myself. Because when we open up social media and focus on other people, it gives our attention away. It primes our brain to start thinking about everything else and not ourselves. And I know that can be so hard for working moms, for stay-at-home moms, for busy 9-to-5 gals. Like it can be hard to not just open up your email and want to look at your emails. That is something that I'm also bad at. Like sometimes I will check my email on Wednesdays and I will check my messages because I have, I mean, for me, I feel like I have to, because especially with like the work that I do as a therapist, I want to be able to be there for my clients. But again, I do set boundaries. So if I see a text from a client on Wednesday, I will not respond till the next following day unless it's a crisis or an emergency, and my clients know that. But yeah, those are just some like morning tips for when you're feeling anxious and you're really trying to get into a routine where you're practicing mindfulness, something that you can. I'm getting ready to go to the coffee shop now, and on my day off, I cannot be bothered to wear makeup because most of the time I'm like either recording a video or like in front of like clients, and I try to look, my best and presentable. And on my day off, I want to look like a scrub. I want to look like I don't care. And I don't really. Like I think sometimes there's a time and a place where you want to get like dressed up and get ready, especially if you feel down or in a slump. I think those are great times to feel good. One of my rules is like, if you're feeling down, but you don't have a lot of energy to do your hair, do your makeup, then at least have a nice outfit. Like at least have a nice outfit. It's okay if the hair and the makeup aren't like coincident. Like do one thing. Maybe the hair looks nice or maybe the makeup looks nice, but everything else, it's okay to just do the bare minimum, especially when you have the bare minimum energy. You're actually doing your maximum, and that's the way I see it. And just getting ready for the day or like putting on a nice outfit is gonna help you again, but you don't have to do the whole shebang because it takes so much energy. And like, I don't know if you can see, but I've been breaking out, and I think that's also been one of the things, I think that's also one of the things that has been like making me really insecure about, getting on camera. But I thought, you know what, fuck it. Like if little things like this, if we would let little things like this control our outcomes, then we would be letting things that we can control determine that. We would be letting the things that we can control like in someone else's hands, right? So it's the people who show up even when they don't want to show up. That's discipline. That is what makes people go further in doing the things that they need to do. And I know when you're anxious, like that just always sometimes can feel like overwhelming. I know I've been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder in the past, and it was hard to manage at first because I just didn't want to change the way I did things. I felt like the way I did things was how I achieved things, but I would put a lot of my self-worth in achievement, and so that wasn't super helpful. And so I learned how to manage it and be able to show up for my clients, know when I'm having a bad day, know when I'm, not going to be in the best, in my best mindset in order to care for my clients, to be able to be there for them. But managing anxiety means like having routines. Managing anxiety means, taking action on things that you've been avoiding, things like that. That's why like this past weekend I ended up doing all of the spring cleaning, because I was avoiding it. So anyway, let's get ready for coffee, and I'm gonna come back in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is the outfit for therapy. It is basically, you can see, it is just leggings and a sweatshirt. Yeah, because we're just chilling today. Putting a little bit of perfume. just have to put my shoes on, but this is what we're working with. Got my bag, which I got on Etsy. It says, be kind to your mind. And we're gonna go to a coffee shop and then go to therapy. So I wanted to share this with you because one of the things that I did when I was organizing my Spotify playlist was I added like all these cute covers for like the vibe I was going for. So right now we're gonna play Morning Hype Club. It's just music that just uplifts my mood, and we are gonna just belt it out because belting it out, singing, just makes me feel so much better. Just left the coffee shop because I have 30 minutes to get to my session. It's only 15 minutes away, but I wanted to chat with you. I was listening to this podcast episode from Balanced Black Girl, and it was all on how to practice digital self-care. Totally recommend it, because one of the topics was something we were talking about, like the what you can control, and like our digital space is something that we control. If you're on TikTok, you know, recommending to, if you feel like you still have the need to scroll, like curating your following, who you follow, so you spend more time on that versus your For You page. Or on Instagram, you can choose the accounts on your favorites and only scroll those and look at those accounts, or mute accounts that you don't necessarily want to see their stories, things like that. And I love that because this is something that I tell my clients about, focusing on the things that you can control. And I think that this is the hardest part because we're so geared towards like not accepting what we can't control, that we don't allow space to focus on the things that we can control. I like to show this chart right here because I think it will give you an idea of like if you're in a space where you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe make this circle, make a big circle and then that little circle, and then in this the middle circle, write the things that you can control. So these are your thoughts, your words, your actions, your behaviors, your feelings. Those are all things you can control. Things you can control are other people's feelings, other people's behaviors, other people's thoughts, other people's words, right? So those are all the things that we cannot control. Sometimes we worry about things that we can control, and that just adds to the anxiety and that just adds to the stress. So instead, I would encourage you to sit down and reflect and allow yourself the space to focus on the things that you can control. So yeah, focusing on the things that we can control is just so important. And again, if you find that doing a writing exercise would be a lot more helpful, then I totally recommend that. And I recommend that you are putting the content that you're consuming is content that is going to help support you, make you feel better. I often also tell clients to take a break from, you know, personal development stuff too. Like, you need time to let it marinate. You need time to take action on it. And constantly, you know, watching things or watching personal development stuff can be tiring and can just be too overwhelming. Like, we can have information overload. So try the exercise, try to see what would work best for you. And then one of the things that I wanted to also say, like another tip, is reframing just how we talk to ourselves, especially when we're being negative. I sometimes will have, we call these like automatic negative thoughts. You can use the word ants. I tell my clients, like, imagine if you had just like literal ants all in over your body, you would feel hella uncomfortable. And that's exactly what negative thoughts are. They're just like uncomfortable feelings that don't support positive action. So sometimes it's not, I don't want to say like just switch it to positive, because sometimes that's not even possible. So even just reframing it in a more encouraging, realistic way, focusing on what you can control. Like I have a presentation tomorrow, and even though it's my day off, I'm probably going to prepare a little bit for it, maybe spend 30 minutes to prepare, because that's what I can control. I know that that will help my anxiety. Whoa, this is like, I know that will help my anxiety by just looking at it for a couple of minutes, making the changes that I need to make so that before the presentation I feel a lot more at ease. And so, yeah, those are all my tips. I'm now gonna go to therapy because I need to process all this week. I think therapy is such an amazing tool to use, even if you're not in crisis. Like, you do not, I repeat, something bad doesn't have to happen to you in order for you to benefit from therapy. Because I think so people too, they're like, well, why would I go to therapy? Like, nothing bad is happening, or my problem isn't big enough. That doesn't matter. Your healing matters, whether it's big, small, like, and again, that's very subjective. So if you have the means and therapy is accessible to you, I completely recommend for you to try it. If you have any questions about therapy or how to find a therapist, I have a whole video that you could watch. But yeah, let's go to therapy. Let's go and process our emotions. This is honestly my favorite time of the day. I just feel like I get to sit and just not only vent, but also have a proactive approach about it. My therapist is very good at like helping me process it, and I feel so much better after. Like, I feel like I have the tools and actions to take for the things that I might feel stuck with. So let's get to it. Michigan, hey Papa. Come here. Oh, it's a baby boy. I am back from therapy. It was so good. I always feel so much better after therapy. And now I have the rest of the day to just chill and honestly do nothing. I think I'm gonna catch up on some YouTube videos, some of my favorite creators, and I'm probably gonna do some painting by numbers. It's one of the hobbies that I've been trying to get into. Before all that, I think I'm gonna make myself something to eat. I did eat at the coffee shop. I ate a croissant, but they ended up forgetting to give it to me. So I had to get up and let them know that I hadn't received it. So I got that and I ate that, and now I'm hungry. It's 11 o'clock, 11:30, almost 11:30. So I'm gonna make myself something. I think I'm just gonna make myself a hot dog because I've just been craving that, and it's something super quick and easy. So I'm gonna do that.
How's your leg feeling today?
Better. It still hurts though. Like, it's not as much. I have a presentation tomorrow, and even though it is my day off, I would feel like I have a lot more control and just less anxiety if I just go over it, because the presentation is really early in the morning. And so I just want to be able to have time to look over it. It shouldn't take me more than 30 minutes, but I need to figure out how to be able to look at my notes while giving out the presentation so that people won't be able to see my notes. I figured out how to not let my notes show up. Zoom, just having it on my second display. So this is where I could do it. So I'll just share the screen and then click desktop 2, and then people will only be able to see the presentation and not my notes. I wanted to wrap the vlog here and give you a final tip on how to manage the things that you can control, and especially also impulses with anxiety. I think one of the main things that I've identified for myself that has helped, that I've learned in therapy, but have also taught other clients to do, is to practice how to recognize the urge before you act impulsively. So whether that is the urge of getting on social media, the urge of shopping, or the urge of over planning, putting too much on your plate, like whatever the urge is, and then putting a name to that urge. And how could you put the name? So especially, let's just say you're feeling overwhelmed, then, you know, identifying that, like, I feel overwhelmed. And then once you've identified that feeling, like, okay, I feel overwhelmed, you're going to then identify the action that feeling is leading you to do. So for example, if you're feeling overwhelmed, the action that overwhelm or that anxiety is making you feel is to scroll on TikTok, right? That's the action that it's paired with. I want you to identify what you need to do to stop that impulse behavior. Is it putting your phone away in another room? Is it just putting do not disturb? Is it deleting the app? Approach the situation once the urge has decreased, right? So once you've maybe identified what you actually need to do is to take a step back, then figure out, okay, so I needed to take a step back. What is it, the things that keep making me, you know, lead to those urges? Maybe I'm procrastinating and I'm not wanting to take action on something that feels hard, right? And that's where we can start practicing compassion, being kinder to ourselves, instead of saying like, oh, why am I scrolling? You're probably scrolling because you're anxious. You're probably scrolling because that seems like the most easiest thing to do. Sorry, Wilson's all over the place. But you wanna, if you're a fan of journaling, I definitely recommend for you to document your emotion, what you felt like doing and what you ended up doing instead. And sometimes it's often hard. Sometimes I think we just have to come from a place of awareness before we can make that behavioral change. So that's important too. If you're, you know, another tip that I like to do, especially when I'm maybe feeling a panic attack, or Wilson, or if you feel like you're in a panic attack, this is an easy tip. You can go into your fridge right now if you're feeling like you're feeling a lot of anxiety, and you're having panic attacks. Hold a piece of ice, and this actually helps. By holding a piece of ice, this actually helps redirect that feeling, because you're gonna be focusing on the sensation. It probably doesn't feel comfortable, but it's redirecting the thoughts. It's redirecting to the actual sensation. It's a grounding tool. It's helping you reduce that feeling of panic. I love that. We're not a fan of breathing exercises. I think that's a cool one to start with instead. So get a piece of ice. Sometimes when I'm in session and I have a client who is like having a panic attack, because maybe something that we talked about triggered that response, or it just became too overwhelming to share, I try to de-escalate the situation by getting a piece of ice or helping them, you know, practice our breathing exercises. But I know that breathing exercises, sometimes it's like, no, I don't want to do that, like I'm focusing on my breathing. And so I totally get it. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this format of me just chit-chatting with you, taking you along a day off and what I do. I'm actually gonna finish off today, just like, again, catching up on some of my creators on YouTube and trying to stay away from like TikTok and Instagram and those things, because that's really been helpful for me to just like not be, like, to take control more of when I'm feeling anxious. When I'm just scrolling and doing those kinds of things, it doesn't help. And really identifying what I have control in, which is my actions, my reactions. So I hope that this was helpful. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy these videos, and give it a thumbs up if you love me maybe doing more vlogs like this where I'm sharing tips throughout the video. It's definitely something different for me, but I'm here to learn and grow alongside with you, and I can't wait to chat with you in the comments, and I hope you have a wonderful day.